Hello, Patriots, and welcome to this special emergency edition of Patriot Point. Got a lot of things happening and happening very fast right now. Here this past week, Governor Beshear just decreed that Christian schools all have to close across the state. Well, we had a bunch of Christian schools that have now sued the governor saying, hey, you are trying to shut down a ministry and operation of the church, and that violates the First Amendment freedom of religion. And the churches won the case. So what the Governor Beshear did, he says, I must get these Christian schools to close. So he filed an appeal for a stay. Well, and a stay doesn't mean there's another court case. It's not actually an appeal to another court. What that is he's appealed to a higher judge to decree, I don't care what the court case says, and there's not going to be another case right now. I'm just ruling in the favor of Beshear, even though there's not actually been another case. And that Governor Beshear was granted this emergency stay. It wasn't actually an appeal of the case. So that is what's happened. But here is the reason why Governor Beshear is so desperately scared that these Christian schools are going to remain open. And by the way, they will be remaining open, because I have personally talked to the leaders of these different Christian schools. I got a hold of about 90% of them in this court case, and all of them that I talked to said, we will be remaining open. And so that is going to happen. And do you know why Governor Beshear is terrified of this? Because these Christian schools will be staying open, and they'll have school now for about another 2 or 3 weeks before the Christmas break. And you know what's going to happen? Nothing is going to happen. These kids aren't going to start dropping dead magically. You know how many kids, school-age kids, have died of this virus in all of Kentucky? 0. That is what we have seen here. And that's what's going to happen and continue to happen. Nothing is going to happen with these kids' health. And then we're going to have a bunch of public school parents say, hey, wait a second. Why is my kid's school year being devastated by Andy Beshear when these Christian school kids continue to go to school and nothing happened? They were fine. And it's going to create an incredible crisis for him. And that's why he is so desperate to close these things down. This fight is not over. We are actually filing an appeal to actually get a day in court. And we firmly believe we are going to win that. Let me tell you the reason why. I've been talking to some of these pastors, why they have decided to stay open and to teach in the Christian schools. It all comes down to the same thing that happened to the apostles in the book of Acts, chapter number 5. Here we see some of the political leaders of the day had told the apostles, notice what it says in verse 28, did not we straitly command you that ye should not teach in this name? And that's what they're doing at these religious Christian schools. However, verse 29, the apostles said, listen, we're not going to obey you, government. Why is that? Then Peter and the other apostles answered and said, we ought to obey God rather than men. And they're like, listen, man and government of man is not going to tell the church how to run the church's business and what we are allowed to do or to not do. And so what does that chapter end with in verse 42? And daily in the temple and in every house, they ceased not to teach and preach Jesus Christ. And I personally know every one of these people in this court case, except for one, and I can tell, and even the one I don't know, I have every reason to believe they preach and teach the principles that Jesus Christ taught, and they're going to keep it up. Notice what Andy Beshear has closed in these mandates and what he has kept open. At first, on Easter Sunday, he commanded the churches to close, and we had to fight him on that in the courts, and we won that to open. Then he commands Christian schools to close, and he's also commanded restaurants to close. However, do you realize this entire time, even to today as I am talking to you, that he has kept open every abortion clinic in Kentucky? Kentucky has 6 horse race tracks. All of them are operating at full capacity right now. And strip clubs. Strip clubs are still allowed to be open and to serve drinks. You can't go to your favorite restaurant and sit down and get a drink. I don't like alcohol or bars, but he's also commanded the bars aren't allowed to serve drinks, but you can go to the strip club and you can have them serve drinks. Here we are seeing the massive battle between good and evil in the policies of Andy Beshear. We need to get rid of this guy. How is this going to happen in Kentucky? It will happen one way. We need to impeach him. Kentucky cannot survive another 3+ years of his reign. Do you realize he has been in office now less than 1 year? I know it seems incredibly longer, but it is less than 1 year. The Kentucky General Assembly has the power to impeach him. They need to impeach him for a myriad of laws that he has broken. In addition to that, another reason to not just strip him of his power, but to get rid of this guy, is that he has shown and demonstrated a repeated disrespect for the law, working his way around it, a disrespect for the intent of the law, what is called legislative intent, and no matter how much that the legislature may try to tighten up the laws, he'll just claim there's an exemption or some workaround in some other law they haven't talked about, and the liberal state Supreme Court will side with him. That has shown the only way to rein him in is to remove him from office. The only reason they'll remove him from office is if the General Assembly hears from you. Here is what you can do to help remove this attack against our education system in Kentucky and against our churches in Kentucky, against the restaurants and bars in Kentucky, against every business in Kentucky, is you need to call your state level representative. This is the phone number. I'm putting it on the screen right now. It is 1-800-372-7181. This is the phone number for the message center at the Kentucky Capitol. It is open on regular business hours during the weekdays. So call between, I think it's like 9 to 5 or 8 to 6, something like that. Call between 9 and 5 through the weekdays and say, I want to leave a message for my senator and my representative. If you don't know who your senator or representative are, all you have to do is tell the person in the phone call center, this is the town that I live in and this is my street. And based on your address, they can look it up. Now, don't say, I'm a member of this party. I go to this church. I watch this program. Because every time you give more information away, you're giving away power. Information is power. What the legislators need to know is that you are a voter and you live in their district. And you would like them to remove Andy Beshear from office for how he is devastating Kentucky. Phrase it your own way. Remember this. Be brief, be courteous, and ask for them to contact you back on what they will be doing. Remember, it is not the legislators who have done this to us. Andy Beshear has done all of these things on his own. It is the legislative branch, the one most answerable to the people. They are more answerable to the people than the executive branch or the judicial branch. This is the branch answerable to the people, and these are the people who can be our voice. So remember that these can be our helpers and the voice of the people to rein in an out-of-control governor. So make sure you make that phone call. Make one for the husband, make one for the wife. Do that way you can get 2 different calls. You can also email your legislators. I am putting in the link for the description of this video a little website that is from the Kentucky Capitol, and you'll see it says every single legislator, and if you click on the name for the one for your county, it'll have their email address. Keep this in mind. We just had an election, and a lot of the newly elected people, their information won't be up there until the first part of January because they don't officially take office until that time, and you may need to recontact that person after January because otherwise we're not going to be able to get a hold of them. So that is some of the things that are going on right now. Here's a little public notice for Andy Beshear. Andy Beshear, I double dog dare you to shut down the Christian schools of Kentucky. You're going to have to wind up locking up pastors and parents, and I will come and bail these people out, and we are going to not go quietly into the night. We are going to stand, and we're going to preach and teach in the name of Jesus Christ. Well, until the regular Friday video or until there's another emergency, I'm Lee Watts for Patriot Point. Stand strong and breathe free.